Hello, welcome to another Daily Dose of Insights powered by Container Exchange. My name is Christian, and every other day we bring to the key news, stories, and data points that move container markets and hence your business. Today it's Friday, so typically we do Fundamentals Friday here at Container Exchange. Let me quickly share my screen to give you a little bit more guidance on what I'm talking about. Typically we look at 1, 2, or 3 core fundamentals trends to watch out for. Today I brought 3 headlines to think about with me that I read about last night and this morning. Number 1, Asia factory activity weakens, uncertainty in China clouds outlook. So this week saw the release of 2 key PMI, Purchasing Manager Index measures in China, manufacturing PMI. One of them, the private Caixin index, sort of unexpectedly surpassed the 50 mark, which means expansion. But the official figures still show sort of factory output contraction and also a more pessimistic outlook for 2024. And why is that bad news? Of course, if sort of factory output weakens, this is an early indicator that demand for shipping capacity, especially in the couple of months to come, will remain weak or will weaken more. Some industry observers, of course, comment now, hey, this is just a sign for the China +1 strategy. So manufacturing capacity moves out of China, it just pops up elsewhere, and that will sort of shore up or make up for the lost demand in shipping capacity. But we don't think so. So far, we've seen a really small growth figures only on that end from other areas where sort of manufacturing capacity is supposed to go. So we don't think that goes as fast as this, and this is just a sign that manufacturing output will remain low in 2024, and it's a further sort of negative indicator for the global economy in 2024. Again, looking at sort of the supply growth, and that's headline number 3 here. The new BIMCO report really focusing on what is the supply growth, the vessel supply in 2024 and 2025. What's it going to look like? What's the impact going to be of slow steaming, of scrapping, etc., etc. But the bottom line here is that supply will still grow nearly 80% or around about 80% on average over the next 2 years. And that's just way too much for a global economy that will grow between 2 and 3% on average over the next 2 years. And it remains questionable whether this GDP growth actually fully translates into trade growth, into demand for shipping capacity, right? So supply and demand imbalance will worsen until at least 2025. And this imbalance, of course, becomes significantly worse if the global economy further contracts or actually shows signs of weaknesses. Very interesting. If you haven't read it, the BIMCO report, I can highly recommend it. I can only recommend the report by Rasmussen, Mr. Rasmussen. It's especially interesting where they look at slow steaming because there was always this notion in the industry that liner companies will essentially just sort of ship or move their vessels slower and thereby absorb capacity. But if you look at the figures in 2022, yes, we've seen increased slow steaming, so average vessel speed has decreased. But in 2023, this has remained very stable, so we haven't really seen an impact of that, even though freight rates have hit rock bottom. And then last but not least, the middle headline here, number 2, Panama Canal Authority has announced further restriction on vessels from 1st of January 2025 and 2024. Also here, very interesting, of course, this will further put pressure on liner companies to reroute some of their services to the US West Coast, thereby putting more strain, more demand on the US intermodal system, but also putting more capacity through alternative routes, for example, through the Suez Canal. And that, I think, is very interesting because this will very likely also incentivize carriers to add additional stops on that Asia to US East Coast service through the Suez Canal, additional stops potentially in Jebel Ali, potentially in the Mediterranean Sea, etc., and thereby increasing capacity also on Asia, Middle East, and Europe, US East Coast sort of trade lanes, further pushing down rates because capacity is increasing. So that's just a couple of headlines from our end to think about over your weekend. Enjoy it when you get there, and see you all on Monday.